So we're back, and we just finished the movie, and we liked it. We've seen this one before, but we have not seen this particular version of it. Whereas the cover I showed it earlier, this was a lot better than the one that we saw, the one on Netflix. So you know, Diane kept pointing that out during the movie, that there were just things that we just couldn't see because it was too dark. In fact, we kept looking at each other saying, I don't remember this from the last time. Now, we did see it a while ago, but we just, you know, I can't tell you how much better this version was. I think the music was also redone for this and remastered, so I will say that this movie does well with repeated viewings. I mean, now that we've seen it, we're seeing it again for the second time. It's very, very good in that context when you kind of know what's going on. So if you do want to see it again, try to track down this version. You can email me or leave a comment about how to get it. It cost me $6 on Amazon. So yeah, this was really, really good. So I want to talk about the ending really quick. The ending that Hitchcock wanted was like what the book was, and probably the play was, and in real life Jack the Ripper was. We don't know. He wanted to be ambiguous, that the lodger kind of just walks off into the London fog, into the night, and we never really know, was he the guy killing these women? And getting back to Ivor Novello, it was because he was such a huge movie star, he was such a big name, that there was no possible way that the studio was going to let Hitchcock get away with that. That was not an option. And you know, it got to the point where they shelved the movie. It's a really long story. It's an interesting story. They made some changes. Some guy came in and made some big changes. They made Hitchcock reshoot the ending, probably. And as Hitchcock says, it had to be really, really clear that this guy was a good guy in the end. In fact, I think he said you had to spell it out for the audience that Ivor Novello wasn't a bad guy. And we see this again in the movie coming up, I forget what year it is, but in Suspicion with Cary Grant. Who's, not Joan Fontaine, do you remember the girl that's in it? Doesn't matter. Where absolutely that Cary Grant was into it, the idea that his character in the end was in fact the bad guy, and it kind of didn't turn out that way, but it would have been nice to you know, to have hold on, to be the bad guy. No, that's not for you. But the studio again said, no, he's Cary Grant. There's no way we can make this guy the bad guy. And same sort of thing with Ivor Novello in this one. So it has that ending where, no, he's the good guy. So another quick thing about Ivor Novello, he was actually gay. It was a big secret. There's no way a matinee idol back then, in the 30s or the 40s or 50s, really, heck, 60s, 70s, right up to the 80s, that you could be gay and have a career. And knowing this, it's kind of cute when I think twice the one time they say, oh, he's not really keen on the girls when he's turning around those pictures, and then later I think, what does he say? He's a bit queer. So funny now, queer having a different meaning back in 1927. So I already talked about the quality of the DVD. The Wrong Man theme, Diane was just pointing out that it isn't quite what it became. Later on in the movie is that Wrong Man theme I was talking about, and we'll talk about it more. In this case, we thought he was the bad guy throughout the whole movie. I mean, we at no point until they explained it to us did we think that this guy could be anything but the Avenger. Strange name for a mass murderer, but anyways. Now the cameo, we do want to talk about that a little bit. The cameo, there's three things to say about that. At first, and in this particular movie, it was just because they needed bodies. They just needed someone to come in and be in the movie because they didn't want to pay another actor. So in that particular scene, Hitchcock just went in it. Then after a while, it became sort of a superstition for him to be in the movie. And after that, it became a bit of a nuisance to the point where he just wanted to get the cameo appearance out of the way right away in the movie because people were being distracted, not paying attention to the movie, because they were trying to spot him. So in some movies, he gets it over with in the first 2 seconds, like it's over and done with. So yeah, we wanted to talk about that. So neat direction bits though, the showing the lodger pacing up in the floor above and the chandelier swaying. That's one way to convey sound. We liked that. The blonde at the beginning when she's screaming, they did that shot by actually having this actress play over a clear sheet of glass and her hair laying on the glass, and they shined a bulb behind her to get that, to show how blonde she was and to show her hair and the horror of her being presumably stabbed. We never really do find out how, I guess he's stabbing these people? Or
I don't know, but he had a gun.
He did have a gun. So again, you know, you're definitely starting to see flashes of this guy, and having, we've watched a bunch of other silent films from 1927 that were very, very good, maybe even a lot better than The Lodger. You're not seeing any of that. You know, there's not that directorial style, or if there is, it's not nearly as interesting as this. We'll talk a little bit more about other movies from 1927 next week when we do the next movie. Diane really liked the music in this, and I agree. There were moments, especially at the beginning, when Tonight Golden Curls and the sort of music that went along. Music is a huge thing with Hitchcock movies. He loved to have the music portray the feeling, the emotion. The scene in Psycho, the shower scene in Psycho, or I think Vertigo with the love scenes or whatever, and definitely had his favorite composer for a bunch of movies in a row there, and we'll really get into that later. It'll be awesome. So wrapping up, I want to say that there were some comments that were really helpful. Manu pointed out that this movie, and probably a few other ones for the ones that are in the public domain, the early movies, the sound films, they're available on the web. I believe on archive.com. He left his comment underneath the introductory video, and that was helpful. You can also get them on YouTube if you can't get them on Netflix. Donna was watching on YouTube. She was watching ahead. She had a question earlier, was I ever going to let Diane talk? And I'll definitely think about it. Richard had a comment about the first video. He said, man, Jeff, it's a great video. And are you ever going to let that pretty lady talk? And you know, I've had some time to think about it, and the answer is definitely yes. So we'll see about that. Now, the next movie number 2, is The Ring, also from 1927. It's not this. it's a love triangle, and you know, not our favorite, to be honest. But you know, we'll review it and we'll make it fun. We'll talk about some other movies from 1927 that are absolutely fantastic. The Jazz Singer being one, a movie called Seventh Heaven being the other from 1927. We're probably going to watch a few other movies from 1927 at the time, just to put it in some kind of context. But anyways, until then, we'll look forward to your comments. We hope you enjoyed this. It was fun for us, and until then, from our couch to yours, we'll see you then.